Val Kilmer, who played Bruce Wayne in Batman Forever, has died.
Val Kilmer, the celebrated actor known for his magnetic screen presence and unforgettable roles, died on April 1, 2025, at the age of 65. His daughter, Mercedes Kilmer, made the announcement to the public, revealing that the cause of death was pneumonia. This respiratory illness proved fatal due to Kilmer's already weakened health condition following a prolonged battle with throat cancer. Kilmer had been dealing with cancer-related complications since 2015, and while he had survived the disease, the aftermath left his body vulnerable to additional health challenges. Pneumonia, which can be life-threatening even to otherwise healthy individuals, poses a particularly high risk to those with compromised immune systems or damaged lung function, both of which applied to Kilmer. His passing marked the end of a long and courageous fight, one that he mostly endured away from the spotlight in recent years. Despite his fame, Kilmer had chosen to face much of his health battle privately, making the final news of his death both shocking and deeply saddening for fans around the world. The confirmation from his daughter also helped quell misinformation and speculation that had started circulating online in the wake of the announcement, ensuring that his fans and the public understood the cause of death was due to natural complications related to pneumonia. In 2015, Val Kilmer was diagnosed with throat cancer, a revelation that came as a shock to fans who had noticed his absence from the public eye but were unaware of the severity of his condition. The diagnosis marked the beginning of a difficult and painful chapter in Kilmer's life. He underwent a tracheostomy, a surgical procedure that involves creating an opening in the neck to place a tube into the windpipe, which dramatically altered his voice. This procedure is often used when throat structures are damaged or obstructed, making it essential for breathing and speaking. For Kilmer, it left him unable to speak naturally. As a result, he had to rely on an electric voice box to communicate, a device that electronically generates speech based on throat vibrations. This not only impacted his daily life, but also threatened his identity as a performer, given how central his voice had been to his most iconic roles. Kilmer, who once captivated audiences with his dynamic vocal range and emotional expression, now had to adapt to a new way of communicating. Despite these limitations, he continued to participate in creative projects, showing remarkable resilience. His use of the voice box was featured in the 2021 documentary, Val, giving the world a raw and vulnerable glimpse into his post-cancer reality. This part of his journey is seen as a testament to his strength and adaptability, but it also underscores the tremendous challenges he faced behind the scenes for nearly a decade. Kilmer's return to the big screen in Top Gun: Maverick 2022 was nothing short of remarkable, considering the physical and emotional toll his health had taken. In the film, he reprised the role of Admiral Tom "Iceman" Kazansky, a character that originally made him a household name back in 1986. What made this return even more poignant was how closely the character's arc mirrored Kilmer's own life. In the sequel, Iceman is portrayed as a revered leader who is battling an unspecified illness that affects his ability to speak. The scene in which Kilmer appears with Tom Cruise is brief but emotionally charged, and it resonated deeply with audiences. It was more than a nostalgic moment, it was a moment of vulnerability and tribute. The production team went to great lengths to accommodate Kilmer's condition, even incorporating AI-generated voice technology based on his original recordings to help recreate his iconic voice for a few key lines. Kilmer's performance stood as a powerful reminder of his talent, even in the face of debilitating illness. For many fans, it was a chance to say goodbye in a cinematic setting that honored both the actor and the legacy of the character he helped immortalize. The scene was widely praised by critics and viewers alike for its authenticity and emotional weight. It offered not only closure for his character, but also a dignified on-screen moment for Kilmer himself, a final salute to a career filled with iconic roles and powerful performances. In the wake of Val Kilmer's death, his daughter Mercedes shared an emotional tribute, revealing that she and her brother Jack were with their father in his final moments. This detail painted a picture of a deeply personal and intimate passing, surrounded by those he loved most. Mercedes, herself an actress and singer, described her father as the most wild, intelligent, and loving man in a heartfelt message posted on social media. Her words captured the complexity of Kilmer's personality, someone who lived life intensely, both as an artist and as a father. Throughout his career, Kilmer often spoke about how important his children were to him, and he had maintained close relationships with both of them despite the ups and downs of fame and illness. Their presence at his side added a layer of warmth and humanity to the news of his death, contrasting the colder headlines with genuine emotion. Fans responded with an outpouring of support, sending condolences and reflecting on the rare public glimpses they'd had into Kilmer's family life. Mercedes' statement also helped reframe the narrative around Kilmer's final years, not just as a period of suffering, but one of love, family, and reconciliation. In a career often characterized by intensity and mystery, this moment of familial closeness offered a rare and comforting insight into the man behind the fame. It reminded the world that despite his larger-than-life roles, Kilmer was, at his core, a devoted father whose children cherished him deeply. Val Kilmer's reputation in Hollywood was as legendary as his filmography. While many actors are remembered for their charisma alone, Kilmer carved out a unique space where talent and temperament often collided. Behind the scenes, stories of his difficult behavior became almost as well known as his performances. Notably, he had well-documented clashes with director Joel Schumacher during the production of Batman Forever. Schumacher labeled him as childish and difficult, saying that Kilmer was psychologically troubled during the filming. Similarly, director John Frankenheimer, who worked with Kilmer on the island of Dr. Moreau, allegedly refused to be on set if Kilmer was there. These reports painted a picture of a man fiercely committed to his craft, but not always easy to work with. However, many of Kilmer's fans and some collaborators argued that this intensity was born out of a perfectionist's drive. Kilmer was a method actor at heart. He dove headfirst into roles, once living in a cave to prepare for the doors and going to extreme lengths to physically and mentally embody his characters. His clashes with directors then may have been less about ego and more about artistic control. Regardless of these stories, no one could deny the power he brought to the screen. Whether portraying Jim Morrison or Doc Holliday, Kilmer consistently delivered unforgettable performances that left an indelible mark on the audience. His legacy is a complex one, equal parts brilliance and stubbornness, but that very complexity is part of what made him so compelling. During the height of his career in the 1980s and 1990 seconds, Val Kilmer was a bona fide Hollywood star with both the talent and the looks to dominate the silver screen. He became a household name after his breakout role as Iceman in Top Gun 1986. But he didn't stop there. In the early 90s, Kilmer delivered a masterclass performance as Jim Morrison in The Doors, a role that demanded both emotional intensity and vocal mimicry. His performance was so eerily accurate that even surviving members of The Doors admitted they sometimes couldn't tell Kilmer's voice from Morrison's on the soundtrack. He went on to wear the cape and cowl in Batman Forever 1995, stepping into one of the most iconic roles in cinematic history. Although that role came with controversy, mainly surrounding his behind-the-scenes behavior, he still delivered a memorable and visually iconic Batman. During the height of his career in the 1980s and 1990 seconds, Val Kilmer was a bona fide Hollywood star with both the talent and the looks to dominate the silver screen. He became a household name after his breakout role as Iceman in Top Gun 1986. But he didn't stop there. In the early 90s, Kilmer delivered a masterclass performance as Jim Morrison in The Doors, a role that demanded both emotional intensity and vocal mimicry. His performance was so eerily accurate that even surviving members of The Doors admitted they sometimes couldn't tell Kilmer's voice from Morrison's on the soundtrack. He went on to wear the cape and cowl in Batman Forever 1995, stepping into one of the most iconic roles in cinematic history. Although that role came when Val Kilmer first started stepping back from public life in the early 2010s, fans began to wonder what was happening. Rumors swirled about his health, with some reports suggesting he was battling a serious illness, while others speculated it was just a retreat from Hollywood. Kilmer initially denied having cancer, possibly due to his spiritual beliefs. He was a devout Christian Scientist, a religious group that often favors prayer over conventional medical treatment. It wasn't until 2017 that he publicly confirmed he had undergone treatment for throat cancer. By that time, he had already undergone chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, including a tracheostomy. This delay in confirming his illness added a layer of mystery to his condition, and while it may have been a deeply personal decision, it also sparked wild speculation in the media. Fans were stunned when he eventually appeared in public, visibly changed thinner, softer voiced, and with a surgical scar on his throat. The contrast between the charismatic, bold screen icon and the frailer figure in front of them was jarring. Still, Kilmer handled his diagnosis and treatment with a degree of grace and introspection that eventually won over even his harshest critics. The documentary Val later shed light on the struggles he endured during those private years, offering a raw. When Val Kilmer first started stepping back from public life in the early 2010s, fans began to wonder what was happening. Rumors swirled about his health, with some reports suggesting he was battling a serious illness, while others speculated it was just a retreat from Hollywood. Kilmer's personal life was often under the microscope, especially during the height of his fame. He married British actress Joanne Whalley in 1988 after meeting her on the set of the fantasy film Willow. The two became one of Hollywood's more private yet admired couples. Together, they had 2 children, Mercedes and Jack, both of whom would go on to follow creative paths of their own. However, their marriage was short-lived. The couple divorced in 1996, reportedly due to the pressures of their respective careers and Kilmer's intense personality. Despite the split, Kilmer remained closely involved in his children's lives, and both were deeply supportive of him during his later health struggles. Outside of his marriage, Kilmer had a string of high-profile relationships with some of the most iconic women of the 20th century. He dated Cher, a romance that persisted even through parts of his cancer treatment, and the singer remained supportive of him during his illness. He was also linked to supermodel Cindy Crawford and actress Angelina Jolie. These relationships added a layer of celebrity intrigue to his life, and he was often featured in tabloids alongside these famous women. Kilmer's romantic life, like his career, was intense and passionate, often marked by deep connections, but also turbulence. While he never remarried after his divorce from Whalley, Kilmer always spoke with affection about love and its role in shaping his life. His relationships reveal a softer, more romantic side to the man who often played tough, aloof characters on screen. In 2021, Val Kilmer released what would become one of the most intimate and honest pieces of work in his entire career, a self-titled documentary called Val. The film was pieced together from decades' worth of personal footage, including behind the scenes. Clips from movie sets, private home videos, and reflective monologues recorded during his cancer recovery. What made Val so unique wasn't just its access, it was the vulnerability it captured. Viewers weren't seeing a movie star perform for the camera. They were witnessing a man confronting his mortality, revisiting the highs and lows of his life with brutal honesty. Kilmer didn't shy away from showing the toll that throat cancer had taken on his body and voice. In fact, the documentary embraced it. The narration was largely provided by his son, Jack, whose voice eerily echoed Val's younger years. Through this narration, the audience gained insight into Kilmer's philosophies on fame, faith, family, and failure. He discussed regrets, such as how his intensity may have cost him relationships or roles, but also expressed deep gratitude for the life he had led. The film debuted at the Cannes Film Festival and was later distributed by Amazon Prime, where it received critical acclaim. Audiences praised it for being raw, poetic, and profoundly human. For many fans, it was the first time they felt they truly understood the man behind the enigmatic performances. Val wasn't just a documentary, it was a farewell letter from a man who had lived a full, complicated life, and who wanted to leave behind something real, unfiltered, and true. It allowed Kilmer to reclaim his narrative, showing the world that even in silence, he still had something powerful to say. Despite the dramatic nature of Val Kilmer's life and the Hollywood mystique that often surrounded him, his death appears to be straightforward and free from controversy. According to statements made by his family, particularly his daughter, Mercedes Kilmer passed away from pneumonia, which developed after years of ongoing health issues stemming from throat cancer. There is no evidence or suggestion of foul play, medical malpractice, or any hidden circumstances surrounding his death. However, as with the passing of many high-profile celebrities, especially those with a mysterious or controversial past, whispers of conspiracy theories began circulating online almost immediately. Some fans speculated about whether Kilmer's health had declined more rapidly than the public was told, while others questioned the long gaps between his public appearances. But these theories lack any credible support, and Kilmer's own openness in recent years, particularly through his documentary and public appearances, suggested a man who had come to peace with his condition and was not hiding anything. In the days following his death, tributes poured in from fans, fellow actors, and directors across the globe. Social media was filled with posts honoring his talent, bravery, and artistic legacy. Hollywood figures like Michael Mann, Josh Brolin, and Tom Cruise expressed their admiration for Kilmer's work and resilience. Cruise, in particular, had maintained a bond with Kilmer since their Top Gun days and was reportedly instrumental in ensuring Kilmer's inclusion in Top Gun: Maverick. These tributes helped shift the focus away from rumor and back to remembrance. Val Kilmer may have been a complex figure, both revered and misunderstood, but in death, he was celebrated for his art, his courage, and the unique space he carved into film history. His passing, while tragic, offered a final chapter that was both dignified and deeply respected.